Suicide. It's a word that no one likes to hear because it tends to break your heart and just make you feel disgusted at the same time, because no one likes to hear about suicide. 6 out of 100,000 people ages 15 to 22 commit suicide each year in the state of Texas. That might seem like a small number, but if you think about how many people live in Texas, you will see that it is a great amount of people. No one's life should be taken away. Not by a murderer, not by cancer, not by anything, especially not by yourself. People commit suicide for many reasons, but it all comes down to society. Because no one ever says anything to bullies. And people that are bullied tend to get really depressed and upset and just think their lives are horrible. Then they commit suicide. And then their loved ones and all the people that care about them are all like, what do I do now that my loved one's gone? They tend to alcohol and drugs and depression. And depression and alcohol and drugs are all signs of thoughts of committing suicide. They usually, eventually, lead to committing suicide. And the cycle will continue on until something is done about suicide. And nothing has been done yet. People are judged and abused and hated on every day. It might be at home, it might be at work, it might be at school, and nothing's ever done. No one ever speaks out about being beat up at home, and no one ever speaks out about someone saying harsh things at work. You may not understand why this is society's problem, but it is. When someone mentions suicide, people automatically frown upon the statement or opinion. And that is understandable because no one likes to hear about this. It's not an easy topic to talk about. Suicide happens fairly often, but attempts at suicide happen even more. People constantly attempt suicide, but they fail and end up in a psych ward. And people wouldn't be in psych wards as often if someone was there for them and talked to them about this problem. This is something that no one likes to hear, but it needs to be taken under control. Some reasons for suicide are bullying, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, no confidence, mean people with harsh words, broken relationships, broken hearts, and close friends and family members dying. And the most common factors for suicide or suicidal thoughts are depression and terminal illnesses. Most people consider committing suicide, consider committing suicide to be a stupid decision, but they would not understand why people would want to commit suicide unless if they've been in their own shoes. So if you know or think that someone may be considering suicide, then talk to them and see what's going on, because talking can save someone's life. After seeing my cousin struggle with the loss of a friend, it was brought to my attention that this needs to be talked about. My cousin's best friend committed suicide a few months ago at the end of May 2015. He shot himself in the head at the high school parking lot where he was attending school. He was being bullied at school, and his dad was abusing him at home. No one ever said anything to the abusers, and his torture continued on. After he had taken his life, my cousin came to me crying because I personally know the effects and how to cope with the loss of a loved one. I asked her if she knew if he was considering suicide, and she said no. She regretted not taking the time to talk to him and see how he was doing. And she regrets the most not talking to him one last time to tell him that she cares, because she already assumed that he knew that. So take the time and tell someone that you care. It is really life-saving.